Welcome back to Book Break. Today we are doing a BookTube deep dive to look at what are the most talked about books on BookTube so far in 2020. So the BookTube team has been doing nothing but watching YouTube videos for the last few days to discover which books you guys have all been buzzing about. We have between us watched over 160 videos from a really big range of booktubers, some of our old favourites, some new people we hadn't subscribed to before. We've watched your best books of the year so far, we've watched your mid-year freak-out tags, we've watched your quarterly book reviews, we've watched as many videos as we possibly could, and the results are in. What was really cool from this was seeing how many different books everyone talked about. So in around 168 videos, we wrote down almost 1,200 different books. We did not watch a single video that didn't have at least one unique book that wasn't mentioned anywhere else. So I thought it was so cool to see how different everyone's reading tastes are and the fact there really is going to be a booktuber for everyone. But there were 16 books that came up a lot more often than any others. So I'm going to talk you through them, working my way up towards the most popular. Starting at number 16, we have The Mercies by Kieran Millwood Hargrave, and I am not surprised to see that on this list. We have been talking about this book so much just on Book Break alone, so I'm so glad to see that the rest of BookTube has also caught on to the hype for this book. This is a historical fiction feminist story about two women who meet on this island off the coast of Norway. One of them has lived on the island her whole life and suddenly finds her community rife with accusations of witchcraft, and the other is the wife of the man who was brought in to save the day and get the women back in order. So it's a really interesting, fascinating story that's based on a true story, and it's really moving and beautiful. At number 15, we have The Black Flamingo by Dean Atter, and this is one that I've seen so much buzz about just recently, just in the last few weeks. This has suddenly been everywhere on BookTube. So this is a story told in verse about a boy setting off to university, coming to terms with his own sexuality and going on that journey and discovering a passion for drag. So again, I'm not at all surprised there is so much hype for this one. It's such an amazing topic, but it's really cool to see a book told in an unusual format like that becoming so popular on BookTube. At number 14, we have The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow. So this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling from Mary Bennett's point of view. It's so much fun. Mary Bennett is the poor middle sister who is at best completely ignored and at worst actively made fun of. But reading this book from her perspective will completely change your understanding of her as a character. I feel like last year it was Greek myth retellings that I saw everywhere on BookTube, and this year it's Jane Austen retellings. Particularly Pride and Prejudice retellings seem to be huge this year, so The Other Bennett Sister is clearly just the best of the best. At number 13, we have A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. So this is not a new book, it's a few years old, but I've seen so many people doing reading vlogs of this book this year. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a very long book telling the story of the whole life of the main character called Jude and his group of main best friends. And it's an absolute tearjerker. I think that's probably why this has made such good content for so many reading vlogs, because you really get to go on that journey and watch the YouTuber just absolutely sob over this book, which has then inspired people to want to go through that experience themselves. So I can see why this one's been so popular. The first reading vlog that I watched this year of A Little Life was Elias's vlog, so I will link to that one below because it was particularly good and he absolutely loved the book. At number 12, we have You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. So this is one I haven't read, but I've heard so many people raving about it. It's a YA story about a girl called Liz who really hates her small town, prom-obsessed school, but she reluctantly decides to enter the competition to become prom queen because her school awards scholarships to the winners. So it's about her story and also about her falling for her prom queen competition. So it's going to be a female-female love story. It just sounds so much fun. Number 11 is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Calendar. So this is another YA story, this time about a transgender teenager falling in love for the first time. So it's about his love story, but also about his own love story with himself, coming to terms with the many layered aspects of his identity. He is black, he is gay, he is transgender, and he has often felt that that's just one too many intersection for him to find someone to fall in love with. So it's about him, first of all, coming to terms with himself and then also falling in love with someone else. Number 10 is another one that is not surprising at all, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So this is the long-awaited Hunger Games prequel that came out this year that follows the villain origin story of President Snow. And we actually made a video talking about book reboots and sequels and whether they can ever live up to the original. So I'll link to that if you want to click through and come and debate with us. But this one obviously has been very popular on BookTube. Number 9 is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, which again isn't a new book. This book actually came out in 2015. It's the first in a trilogy, but the last one came out in 2017. So I'm not sure why these books are suddenly taking off in such a big way in BookTube, but so many people have been talking about them. So this is a science fiction book set on a planet where every few centuries they go through this period called the Fifth Season, which is a period of catastrophic climate change. So maybe that's why it's so relevant right now. Number 8 is Beach Read by Emily Henry, which is another one that I really want to read now. It sounds so much fun, especially if you love books about books and writing. So this is about a romance writer who feels like she no longer believes in love and a literary fiction writer who is stuck in a rut. And they meet and talk about their respective problems with writing and then set each other the challenge to switch genres and write in each other's genres. Book number 7 is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So I can see why that one is on the list. So many people must have been inspired to pick up this book because of the amazing Little Women movie that came out right at the end of last year. I have to say, I absolutely loved that movie and was also inspired to pick up the book straight away because of it. So I can understand why that one's on the list, and it was really fun seeing how many people discovered this book for the first time and absolutely loved it. I think all of the mentions I saw of this book were positive. Number 6, I kind of combined these together. So this was the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. This is going to be a trilogy. There are 2 books out so far, and I added together everyone who was talking about either book 1 or 2 in the series. And book 3 in the trilogy is coming out later this year, so I guess everyone is reading this book to get ready for the final installment. So this is an epic fantasy trilogy inspired by Chinese history, and from what everyone's been saying about it on BookTube, it's brilliant. Number 5 on the list is one of my most anticipated books on my TBR, and that is The Vanishing Half by Bennett, which has been absolutely raved about. This is about 2 estranged twin sisters who end up leading massively different lives, even to the extent of adopting different racial identities. So it sounds absolutely brilliant, and the book is very much inspired by the classic novel Passing by Nella Larsen, which is a similar story about 2 estranged school friends who meet up again later in life and discover that one of them is passing as white, even to her very racist husband. So The Vanishing Half is kind of a retelling of Passing, but covers a much bigger period of time. So it spans from the 1950s to the 1990s and explores how the different decisions that these sisters make echo through the generations. Number 4 is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. So this is a new Shadowhunters novel, but it's the first in a new trilogy. And again, I was not surprised to see this on the list. I have never read a single Shadowhunters novel, but these are absolutely huge on BookTube, and this was a brand new start to a new trilogy, so of course excitement is very high. Okay, and we're into the top 3. So number 3 on this list is a book that hasn't even come out yet. People are just so excited for its release, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So this is going to be a fantasy novel about a girl called Addie LaRue who makes a deal with the devil where she trades her soul in exchange for immortality. But the devil also puts a curse on her and curses her to be forgotten by everyone. So she lives this invisible life where no one ever remembers her except for the devil, who visits her once a year on the anniversary of their deal. Until one day, in a second-hand bookshop, she meets somebody who remembers her. Number 2 on this list is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, which has been a completely beloved graphic novel series about 2 boys, Charlie and Nick, who meet at an all-boys grammar school and instantly become friends, but could that friendship lead to something more? And finally, the number 1 most talked about book on BookTube so far in 2020 was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, i.e. the first book in the brand new Crescent City trilogy. Sarah J Maas is one of BookTube's ultimate darlings, and this is a brand new high fantasy series about a girl who is half human, half fae. So those were the 16 most talked about books in all of the videos that we watched, and it's really fun to see what a huge range there is there of different genres, different age groups, different diverse authors. There are just so many different kinds of readers on BookTube. But I would love to know which books you have bought directly because of BookTube, so do leave us a comment below letting us know. And I will also link here to a video we made about the best trends on BookTube that we've been loving recently. See you next time!